of them want to listen to what we talked about, that's fine.
Right, but
We
you'll
can
give it
send
to
out them.
us, just so,
Yeah, but it
because
won't go
it'll be
out.
good reference, right? So, and hopefully somebody shows up, you know.
Yeah.
And that would be really helpful.
And then we will just put the minutes and the invoice.
The
on
next one.
agenda.
Yep. So do we have any public comments or nobody's
Well,
here?
we can't go through any of that, so if we want to just discuss, like if we want to, if you want to talk amongst yourselves for a little bit, that's fine, but we can't have a meeting.
So you want us, do you want us to present like our
Let's,
idea?
yeah, I guess we can just go to the bottom,
Yeah,
right?
if you want to just, go through.
I
and
would
kind
love
of
to
talk
hear what
about your
everybody
ideas.
has to, yes, because I mean,
Yeah.
there's no sense in talking about my chairman comments unless people are here.
Yeah.
Right?
Nope.
We can do it.
And then if you want to, tomorrow, if you want to put an email together with your comments, you could do that. You just can't respond to that. Because once somebody responds to that, then it becomes a meeting.
Correct.
That was not posted.
Right, and
So-
then, yeah, that's per FOI,
So,
yeah, yep.
Well, I can give you some information to start with.
Well, let's go, yeah, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna go to the bottom of the list, which is commission discussion and the action items, because I definitely want to hear everybody's comments about, you know, what they feel that makes sense in the short
Oh,
term.
wait, we got a quorum. Here we
Oh,
go.
look at that. Okay, so now I can start all over again.
Back to the top.
We are cooking with fire.
Love it.
All right. Here we have a quorum now.
Hey, Peter. He's connecting to audio.
Okay, so you can start.
Let's
You're
start.
muted, Peter. There you go.
And first.
Hi, Peter. He's frozen.
Uh-oh.
Technology.
Oh, he's coming back. Maybe because he can't do the video. Hello, Peter. Are you on? Peter? Oh, well, that was short-lived. Oh, no, he's back. Peter, you can unmute yourself if you want.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. It just, I don't know.
Hey, how are you?
Uh,
Okay. On that note, I'm gonna get the meeting started, okay? Now that we have a quorum. Thank you for joining.
okay, great.
Here- Oh, my, he's getting, I don't know where he is. He's like frozen in time.
I'll take the meeting outside.
Yeah, okay. So no public comments. Okay, correspondence? Okay. So now do I hear a motion for consideration of approval for the May 19th, 2022 special meeting minutes?
I'll second.
No, I need to hear a
Oh.
motion. Motion by
Motion.
anybody.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay,
I
second.
second.
Okay, are there any comments?
I,
You might, but yeah, I was about to tell you. I wanted to wait for everybody else. So please spell my first name and my last name right.
Yep.
Okay,
sorry.
that's okay. It's fine. All in favor of approving the minutes with those small little corrections? Signify by saying aye.
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 Everybody in favor? Good. So that passes unanimously. All right, so I have a couple of comments now that we have a quorum, and it's recording. And so I write them down because I don't want to forget anything, and I typically type them out because I can't read my own writing. So what I want to go over real quickly, because we really want to get to the business of the commission and talk about the action items, is talk about a little bit of the responsibilities of the commission. So overall, we're here to help Bethel create sustainable economic and community development initiatives that perhaps reimagine, reinvent, rebuild, and are inclusive, equitable, accessible, safe, and affordable. And we want to be able to also develop initiatives that are financially feasible, create strong community partnerships, and are vibrant and, like I said, sustainable. But our immediate goal is to develop a document to submit to Sustainable Connecticut for certification. And we will be getting into your ideas and process later on. The certification is important to inform the bigger picture, but also will help with grant funding. And I know we all come from different points of view, but that's really, really good when we are putting together that document to create that final submission. And we'll be drilling down with our ideas and into a clear and concise direction. Some of these initiatives have already been completed, which is great, and Matt and Dion are working on that list, and others we can implement immediately through community partnerships, which then will create some energy and interest in the town. And we are very lucky to have administrative support from Dion, who also offers very valuable insight. Dion will be assisting us in navigating the administrative process, coordinating with Sustainable Connecticut and other things on the commission's behalf, so that we can focus on those important goals and initiatives. And lastly, if you haven't already done so, I really encourage you to log on to the Sustainable Connecticut website. There's a lot of information that will be helpful in our certification journey. So those are my comments. Anybody have any comments for me? Okay, great. Then we can move on to the next order of business, which is consideration of Amoresco Inc. invoice in the amount of $15,895. Do I hear a motion?
Quick
Do you wanna
question.
add for discussion?
But the motion, I was gonna do the
Yeah.
motion, I was gonna do it, yeah. So I want a motion second, then we'll do discussion.
Yep.
Motion,
To discuss it?
Yes, well, the motion will then allow.
us to discuss.
Sure.
Okay,
A second.
okay, so any discussion?
Yes. What
Okay.
is it?
Yes,
Why is this, does this have to do with the solar panels that are out at the transfer station?
Bill, do you want to answer that?
yeah,
No,
that's what I was just gonna ask.
this is a part of the energy performance contract that we completed the project, 5 years ago or 4 years ago, where we did energy efficiency upgrades at all town buildings with LED lighting throughout, also on the street lights. We did those, upgraded the controls, installed efficient motors, put in variable speed drives. And as part of that contract, Amoresco, who was the contractor, has an obligation for 5 years to do an evaluation annually to evaluate how the system is doing and are we meeting the savings, because they guarantee the savings would be enough to pay for the investment. And this is the invoice for the 4th year for their evaluation. I sent Leon a copy of their evaluation. It's only 94 pages long if you want to look at it. But, that's what it is. It's a contractual obligation we have. And we have 1 more year left on the contract, which would be next year.
So they charge 15,000 plus a year for an evaluation?
Yeah,
What are the
Well, Gary.
savings?
they're guaranteeing savings.
What are those?
Tunes about $4 to $5 million over the years.
Over the 5 years or over like 10?
No, over
20?
the 20-year life of the project.
And have we seen those savings in the last
Oh, yeah,
years?
yeah. Yep, you can
Okay,
check with the controllers department, and in here they have in the report, they have a summary of savings to date, and I think it's over $1.4 million so far in the first 4 years that the town has saved due to the energy efficiency upgrades.
so the $15,000 per year, does that come from the savings or is that a budgeted expense?
That's a budgeted expense. It's in the town budget already. It's been there. It's the same amount. It's for the 5 years. Each year it's been that. So we've already paid 3 years, and this is the 4th year, and then there's the 5th year would be next year would be the final term of the contract.
So would that contract be renewed or?
Not with Amoresco, no. One of the things, talked with the school board, school finance, as a result of this work that we did, we were able to bring in HVAC mechanic engineer, which is much superior to what they've had, and they've been working with him. And what the intention is that we can incorporate, after this contract's over, we can incorporate him for this part with what he's doing for the town and on schools, this type of thing. So it's an ongoing part of the energy efficiency project, the performance contract that we entered into.
Oh, okay, so that task or responsibility will be part of someone's, a full-time staff person. That will be.
Not a staff person. We don't have anybody on
Oh, okay.
staff that has the experience and the capability to do the evaluations as to what it's Peregrine Energy is what we do
Oh,
there.
I see. Okay.
While they're evaluating, do they make recommendations for like upgrade or new technology over these past years? since
Well,
the-
they follow what the town has installed and, had done. Every year they check with Public Works to evaluate what changes have been made and the upgrades and the continuing upgrades are based upon the initial energy efficiency study. Because out of the energy efficiency study that was done, it was called an investment grade study several years ago before the project was implemented. And it was the basis for the project. We selected measures to implement that could be funded out of the savings. There are some measures that can be funded out of the savings, but have to be done eventually. And those are things like converting boilers, installing new boilers, when, replacing oil-fired boilers with natural gas-fired boilers and stuff like that, that were not, couldn't be funded in the original savings, but it's an ongoing plan because it outlined and identified a lot of upgrades and efficiency improvements that the town needed to undertake. So it's an ongoing sort of partnership, so to speak, in getting all the buildings and keeping the buildings up. Now, what they do is evaluate the set points within the building management systems to find out, and this report has reported some things which have a negative impact on the savings due to COVID, where the air intake and ventilation systems have been greatly, increased in terms for the, to help combat the COVID type of thing. So you increase the airflow and the exchange of air to fight, the COVID, but that increases energy. They identified those type of things, and the next step is I'm going to be getting with Bob Giminero to schools to see when they think they can go back to the original settings to get back on the savings. But, those are decisions that the town makes for health and safety of the town employees.
Thank you.
I have a question. What would be the easiest way to share the documentation that you have? Because if I'm understanding the study that was done and what's been implemented, that would satisfy pretty much 90% of the Section 7 items of the sustainable plan.
Some of them were implemented, I don't know.
I can email the study to you. That's this one that we just had. I can email that to you. And we also have on file at town clerk, I believe, would have the original energy efficiency study there. But this report goes through measure by measure and explains what was done and tracks the savings all the way through. Like I say, it's quite extensive, and there's a tremendous amount of effort and work that's gone into it. I'd be more than happy to email that to you, or Dion could email it to you.
I got it.
Okay.
And some of this might already have been done. We just are working right now with the department heads and with Matt to see actually what has been done on that list. So as we're going through that, we might find that some of that has already, been submitted.
From my conversation that I had with Torrin and Mary, there's nothing that's
okay,
been submitted.
okay.
Except,
good.
except for the resolution.
Okay, good.
Yeah, this was an
Well,
extensive.
that can be included.
This
Yeah.
is an extensive project that covered every single town building there is, the well pumps and public works buildings and water storage tanks and everything. So it's touched everything that's in the like and outside lights, I think there's something like 265 lights that were changed, converted to LED town outside lights. You know, in addition to inside buildings and everything, and the buildings are all LED lights now, most efficient.
Okay. Thank you, Bill. That was really, really helpful to understand what the program's about, and there might be some of those projects that we could include in our submission. Are there any other questions related to this item?
Kind of related, but there's a lot of discussion about a resolution, and I don't know, or maybe because I missed the
I'm
first
gonna-
meeting.
Give that to Dion.
Yeah, it was just, I think really it was kind of one of those simple like check boxes that you had to have, but you just had to have a resolution from each town stating what our goals were. And they had a generic one that you could even fill out and send in. So that was the first thing that had to be
There's a
done.
copy of it if you want to take a look.
Yeah, and you know what, Katie, I've got copies of stuff from the last meeting that's. But that's what it was.
Okay,
And that was already approved and apparently signed in 2018, so we didn't have to do that over
Back
again.
into it again.
yeah,
So that's great. We're within the time frame that is required. Okay, so we have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor, if there's no other discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
I,
Abstentions, nothing else. Okay, so I guess it passes unanimously. Good. So now's the fun part of our agenda. I'd asked you all to come up with 3 items on this very long list that Dion handed out, which is also on the Sustainable Connecticut website. And to figure out, I want you to think about it, things that you're passionate about, that are doable, that make sense, and put them in the 3 boxes of short-term, mid-term, and long-term. And we talked about those things that we could implement right away through perhaps some community partnerships, to leverage those partnerships so that we can create some energy and some interest in the community. So would you like to start, Tori?
Sure.
Okay, let's do that since you're over here.
So just, my top 3 are definitely section 8.
Let's go
Do
slow.
we want to go that way? I'm gonna.
I
jump
want
around.
you to do what, you want to do it in short term, midterm, and long term, or whatever.
I think short term
Okay,
is-
let's do that.
is section 8. So we discussed last time about having a sustainability event, participating in an event that's already planned and doing a sustainable piggyback on that. So I think that's something really visual that the town could get involved in and kind of see the impact that we're already making with like holding an event, maybe with in correlation with like the paint drop off or, one of the upcoming events during the summertime. Bill had a great idea of having a tenant Food Truck Friday or something. So I think, participating in an event could possibly count as holding an event.
Absolutely, it can, yep.
And then just section 2 of that I thought was really important that we've discussed about is communication, community communication. How to let the public know what we're doing, whether it's on the town website, if there's a section for Bethel on the Sustainable Connecticut website. I think just more community knowledge was really important for me, and part of the reason why I joined the commission of interest is, there's so much great information that floods through the school system. But if you are like me and don't have a child in the school system, or, you're elderly and don't have a child in the school system, you kind of miss out on some of the great stuff that the town offers and provides. So I think communication is
So,
very
but
key.
it's all under section 8.
Yes.
Am I saying that right? Okay,
Yes.
all under section 8, okay.
yeah,
So-
8.1 and
Okay,
8.2.
just,
Yep.
yeah, I'm looking at, okay.
So in just looking for something that's like really visual and that we could like jump on and the public could be a part of right away and see what we were doing.
Yep.
Another reason why I joined the commission is because of section 11. And so section 11 is all about designing and implementing affordable housing plan. So it has to do a lot with zoning. I have experienced some affordable housing in a non-zoned area that became a zoned area. So I am watching the forum discussion and things. I think that this is a really important educational thing that the town needs to participate in and understand in before it becomes an issue. To my understanding of all the research and involvement that I've had over the last couple of years with it, you know, the town has a certain threshold that they meet, but it always just keeps getting bumped farther and farther away. So if we can help kind of relegate that and administer some zoning regulations and participate in, you know, a plan and implement it crosswise, you know, I think it's important for the elderly. I think it's important for, you know, young families and things that can't afford. That to me is another reason why I joined the committee. So kind of like mid-goal.
That's a mid goal.
Yep. And then I jumped to 13.1 because I'm that person. And it's implementing your own action. You know, I think that we've done a lot with, like, we've got some great open space in the town and things are being used in a certain way. But I thought that something might be really fun in community involvement would be maybe having our own community garden. A lot of towns do this and it hits other points.
That is, sorry, Tori,
Yeah.
that is in one of the sections.
Exactly.
Well,
It
it's
hits,
13 is the one where you create your own plan.
yeah,
Community
but
garden.
the
Remember, with
community
your own plan.
garden,
Yeah, yeah.
it's back in another section as well as like a little footnote, and I think you get like 5 points or so, but it also goes with like developing open space, which was 3.4. So like that kind of area.
It was in another section, so
I think
don't know if you
it's
in
in
the-
3,
Agricultural section,
Okay.
which I think
I'm
is
just
10,
one.
5.
5.
10 is what I had I had that on my list too.
Was it
and I had
5 or
under 10.
3? Dynamic and resilient planning. That, right?
So
5.
3.4,
Oh, 3.4.
so 3.4 was about developing an open space, which to me could be community garden.
I see.
So,
You know, if we've got, like, the town just gave like a chunk of like a land trust. And maybe we could do a community garden there. So it kind of goes with a few areas.
Or section 5, which is the resilient planning.
3, 5, 13.
And that, yeah, that would be long-term, but there might be something that could be short-term if you get it started, you know?
Right.
So that's
Yeah.
something to think about.
Great. So those are my 3 that I chose.
Excellent, okay. Katie, did you want to go? Okay,
Sure.
I'm going right down, and then I'll get to the boys. This is so funny. The girls are in person, the boys are on the screen. Okay, all right, Katie, go ahead.
Okay, so
You want
I
to do
have-
short-term, midterm, long-term?
I really have it more separated out in sections,
Okay, we'll
but
share
I
that.
have allocated long-term, midterm, and short-term to them.
Okay.
But so I've chosen 3 sections as well.
Okay.
The first one, inclusive and equitable community impacts,
Which number is that?
number 1.
Oh, yeah, that's the requirement. Yeah, that's the requirement.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
So one of the ideas was to create a larger board of selectmen or
Okay.
have a larger board of selectmen for, just to bring more of a,
That would be a charter
That's a charter change.
event, or a charter issue. It
okay,
wouldn't really be a sustainable CT or a sustainable Bethel. Now, once we go through our charter revision, then in fact, it was discussed at the last one,
Mhm.
but that's not really something that you can do through sustainable Bethel.
okay. All right, all town announcements and releases to be multilingual.
And where's that located? Just under
Um,
section 1, 2, or is that,
It's section 1, still section 1.
which number, section 1?
I don't,
Okay. That's fine, so
probably
communication
1.1.
should be multilingual, that's fine.
I had that as midterm.
Okay,
And then the third idea for that one was email or signboard to notify of upcoming town meetings. I know that right now it's put on Facebook, but I know for me, when I moved here, it was kind of difficult to figure out when town meetings were or what was going on at the town meetings, and not everyone checks Facebook or has Facebook or access. So those are the 3 on that, on section 1. And then section 3. Some ideas for this was to work with local nurseries like Agway or Hollandia to develop signage and inventory that promotes the sale of pollinator pathway plants that are specific to our microclimate. That's a midterm. Encourage guest speakers and agricultural experts to educate the public on pollinator pathways at farmers markets or library or Trashapalooza. This could be a connection with Yukon, possibly.
The Circa, you know about Circa, which is the climate resiliency through, it's a department at Yukon. So if this is something that the commission decides, or even when we get to talking about guest speakers, they'll come down and talk to you about all of the resiliency and climate stuff that Yukon's doing. And they'll provide some, you know, help and direction in that sense.
Yeah, that was one of the, I thought Yukon would be a good kind of connection for that. Establish town beehives. The long-term idea. And in the third section, I have a lot of ideas on this, on section, it's the sixth section.
Six, okay.
There's probably like 8 or 9. Do you want me to go through them all or just pick a couple?
Well, but what we were trying to narrow down were the
Right.
ones that, like, that we could, that were feasible and doable within, you know, budgetary constraints that would
Yep.
create some community partnership. Like, right, if that's possible. I mean, you know, long term, yeah, we definitely want to do midterm, long term, but,
Yep.
you know, so, yeah.
Okay, so I will pick a couple. So install dog poop stands with bags and solar compacting trash and recycle bins around town centers.
Sorry, which one would that fall under in 6?
Oh, that's complete streets. Those are different.
Yeah, because I see 6 more as transportation,
Okay,
parking management.
Yeah, that's and zero,
Transportation. Zero emission.
yeah. But that's all the transportation component.
Would that
Maybe
be 3?
maybe it's, hold on, let me look at my overall list here.
No.
Maybe that would be a 13.
Maybe, yeah, maybe that would be under creating your own plan,
Yeah.
okay.
or 5, dynamic and resilient planning. Did you see that, Katie, on this list? What you're talking about, or is this something that you thought about?
This was something that I thought about.
Okay.
Well, reading through the descriptions, these were ideas that came to mind after
Okay.
reading through the descriptions.
You know, I get it, but
But-
let's, yeah,
I'm happy, yeah. I tried to reread through them and make sure that they were in the right categories, because things can get a little bit jumbled, but if it works somewhere else better, that's fine.
Could be a 13. It could be like a 13-ish, 13.
And we don't have to really decide. It
No,
doesn't have to be
no.
decided exactly
absolutely not.
where it's gonna fit, as long as we know it'll fit somewhere and it's a passion of yours.
Right, exactly. What else you got?
Enforce snow removal regulations, and this is probably not the same 6 as well, but enforce snow removal regulations and fines for pedestrian walkways and ensure that snow is removed per ADA standards. So I've noticed that snow does not get removed, and when it does, sometimes it's just a walking pathway, which is not accessible to everybody.
I'd be more concerned that there are no sidewalks for people in wheelchairs in the town than
Yeah.
snow removal.
Yeah. Well, that was the next one of
Or
confirm.
curb, or something as simple as a curb cut, so someone in a wheelchair doesn't have to sit in a patch of grass waiting for the bus or sit in the street.
Right, that is another one of mine, that crosswalks and sidewalks meet accessibility standards such as
Now,
audio cues, curb
I'll
flow.
I'll tell you this, I went down this path when I moved into town, and because I've been an ADA advocate for years, and the town doesn't rise to the size that requires all of what we're used to in ADA. I don't even have curb cuts on Fleetwood, so, because they're not required. The bus stops are not required to be paved in our town for some reason, because
Oh.
it's considered rural.
So, well, these are all very, very good comments. And I've worked for municipalities for, 35 years, so I'm very well aware of them. And they actually fit into a complete street type of platform and model. And that's something that we could recommend in a long term. It's,
Yep.
And I think you don't want to me, okay, my opinion, you don't want to do all this piecemeal.
Right.
Those
Stay
are
more
very
focused.
important conversations that to engage the entire community with, because it impacts a lot of people. And that's something that would be recommended, that we study that we budget for a study to look at how we can implement a complete street type of platform in a design, complete street, I should say, complete street design in the town of Bethel. And then from there, recommend which areas, prioritize the areas that are needed the most in that sense. So I think that is a conversation for sure that can be recommended, but it's not something that can be done right away.
Oh,
It
God, no.
takes a while, but your comments are definitely correct. You're spot on with that. And most municipalities and towns do struggle with that. And that is a topic of conversation throughout the United States. So let's see. What else do you got? And I want to make sure we have time for other people here.
No, that's it.
Okay, that's great.
6 is the complete streets.
Yeah.
That's what it would pretty
It would,
that's
to
what
me,
it would
I mean,
fall under,
yeah, and that's
right?
something that we can talk about, but it would definitely, it's a bigger conversation.
Oh, yeah.
And definitely, it's a whole town effort and a comprehensive study and design. So Diana, you're up.
Section 3.7, water usage, 3.12, pollinator pathways, 5.3, agricultural practices, and then 9.3 and 9.4, 1 and 2 subsections, recycle and compost organics. And then I did have a 13.1 because, as I already, I think I mentioned, I would very much like to see something on the sustainable program for the opioid and alcohol issues that we have. And while some people don't think it's sustainable, it is, because it's a huge drain on our economy, especially at a local level.
Yes, and I think that's another thing that to recommend, and that we would, I think, is there a health department as part of both? Yeah, so that definitely would be a conversation if it's something, I agree. It is part of, if you're gonna look at sustainability as a big word, yes, it is. And so that's something that we would bring in the health department to have a further discussion that we're looking at this from the long term. But okay, so you went really quick.
Sorry.
The
So
3.7, 12, 5.3, 9.3, 9.4, is there like a short term, midterm?
yeah,
Okay.
so 3.7, the water usage, and that goes along with just promoting better water usage, water management, being conservative of water usage. That could be, to me, that seems like a midterm, not too unsurmountable, but it's not something that's gonna happen right away. And that would also roll into long-term. 3.12, the pollinator pathways, that's an easy win. That's something that is not that expensive. It can be easily done with donations of perennials. We have thousands of gardeners in Bethel. And creating more pollinator pathways. It doesn't necessarily have to be a pathway, it could just be around the municipal buildings where we're creating more of an environment for that pollination. So that's short term. Agricultural and the recycling and compost organics both fell into the mid to long term categories for me, because I think that's more of a culture change, which is a long term goal. So something that we started, talking about, bringing awareness to, and then implementing. And then, the opioid and alcohol is, that covers all three, because it has to be long-term in its effect.
Okay, these are great. And two of you like the pollinator, or all of you, I think.
I have pollinator too,
pathways too.
Just
Okay.
Just FYI, we do have a Bethel Garden Club that does volunteer their time and works out there on the municipal lawn. They would be somebody good to come alongside with if you wanted to, maybe try and get volunteers for that.
Great suggestion.
Okay, so Stephen, what you got?
All right, so I'll start off. I want to second, I think Katie said it, the solar trash receptacles throughout town. I love that idea. I also think we need more. So having both would be awesome. Anyway, for my particular ones, first 3.4, develop an open space plan. I think a couple of mine are kind of short to medium-ish, but some of these can be started right away. I first moved here and there was a conserved land right by my house. I never knew about it. And then somebody in the land use committee told me about it, and it's a great space. And I think I'm sure there's others in the town that could benefit from knowing what's out there, and then of course acquiring more over time. So I think that one is a valuable one for the town. Next, 4.1, map tourism and cultural assets. There's a lot that we have in Bethel that we can be very proud of. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people don't know about some of the treasures we have within our borders. So using that to educate our own citizens, as well as promoting what Bethel has as a destination, would be valuable. And that could also spur some economic development, which I know is another item on here, but I felt the purpose really was to highlight specifically what we have as town assets as far as tourism and cultural assets go. Again, probably a medium term type of thing, but there's certain things we could do now for really my first two, that if there's not already some list somewhere that somebody has, reaching out to, say, the Historical Society or the Land Trust to at least start that, but then using promotion tools through the town website, social media to promote these different things can benefit us in the long term. And then a long-term one I had was 9.1, municipal solid waste. I think we do a pretty good job, actually a very good job at the town level with recycling and promoting what we have at the transfer station, our hazardous waste days and other things, but there's obviously more we can do. So long-term, establishing that baseline of what's currently being discarded, and then educating the population around town for what they can do in their own homes, what they can do through the transfer station and by other means to further reduce solid waste. So I think that's a long-term plan, but again, starting with the baseline of what we're collecting today, and then educating the public as a secondary action long-term.
Those are great. Any comments on any of that? Okay. Peter.
I'm going to keep it simple. Everything I think about is in section 6, transportation. Whether it involves the fact that gasoline is $5 a gallon and there is only 2 electric car chargers in Bethel. My short-term goal is to get some chargers in here. They can be put in here on consignment. They can be a concession for the town to actually profit off of, but can't charge in Bethel. Number one. Number two, more of a midterm, and actually shorter to midterm, is the town's got crap for a fleet. We've got 33-year-old vehicles. We don't know how much we spend on fuel. We need to do, and I've offered to do it with the help of Public Works, we need to set fleet standards for the town. Currently, the largest capital expense are fire apparatus. And you know how we buy fire apparatus? When the chief wants to buy fire apparatus, we have to assemble a commission and decide whether after 25 years, it's time to buy a fire truck. So there's no plan. We need a plan. And long-term, we need a plan to start changing over the fleet. Anyone who goes to the transfer station sees that 1982 truck sitting right by the booth. I made a comment about it a few months ago. They turned it around to show that it moves. Not sure why we keep it. It costs more to put fuel and do maintenance on a vehicle like that. We're a small town, we don't have money, but if we have a plan, we can project out for the next 20 years when we're going to buy vehicles so that capital budgets are flat They don't spike every couple of years when the PD needs a new vehicle or the chief needs a new car or apparatus. It's planned. The day you buy a vehicle, you know when you're selling it. And you pretty much know how much you're going to get for it, because if you sell it soon, then you're going to generate more money that pays for part of the next replacement vehicle. Taking it one step further as a really long-term idea, we've got to get rid of all of the cement and the asphalt that's laying on the streets of this town. Asphalt is the heaviest, dirtiest oil you could find. It's sort of recycled, but there are greener alternatives out there. I know the state handles a lot of this, and we probably buy off the state contracts, but there are new technologies, whether it's putting in crushed glass, plastic, there are ways of cutting the asphalt use, which reduces the off-gassing, because everyone knows what a freshly paved road smells like. It's not a good smell to breathe in. So that's where I come from, the sustainability side.
Those are all really,
Transportation.
yeah, those are really good points.
And one more, actually.
Yeah, go ahead.
The one more that I would add is we need to step up, like apparently we used to in the past, and take control of our section of Hart Transit. Hart Transit spent $450,000 on every one of those brand new 3-year-old diesel belching buses. Why aren't we looking at electric vehicles?
Well, along those lines, the governor set a standard that the entire bus fleet in the state of Connecticut needs to be electrified by, I believe, 2035. So that's in process.
So here's what I'm going to tell you. Here's the dirty little secret that our beloved governor won't speak about. No governor or mayor will speak about it. We don't have the grid to support that. New York City is short 350 megawatts to electrify its bus fleet. They are so desperate that I've been called into meetings to recapture third rail electricity as an attempt to provide enough electricity for electric buses. So it's an interesting conundrum we're in as the world goes electric. And a couple of years ago, I've been working on the United States Postal Service electric vehicle program for years. And I pointed out, we have no say if the United States Postal Service decides to park 20 electric vehicles at the post office. If they don't have a charging plan, our grid's going to fry.
So I agree with you there with the whole grid and the electric vehicle charging. There is this, that's like the buzzword of the day is all the EVs, but the infrastructure isn't there yet. And the consumption is going to be great. So there needs to be the infrastructure in place that actually pulls some of that electricity to the grid. So yeah, that's a fair conversation. Absolutely. And I can talk about that for hours, just like you, I'm sure, but not tonight. Okay, I'm with you on that.
You
one.
want to talk parking? You want to talk
Well,
parking?
not now. No, I can talk about that for
I know,
years.
I've been to the, I've been to the University Parking Association meeting a couple of years ago in Kentucky. They love parking meters.
Yeah, well, we can talk about that offline, because I want to give it also Bill a chance to talk about stuff, and then maybe we can talk about our next steps with all this. These are all really good concepts. The other thing about the fleet, I also agree with you, having worked for municipal government for a long time, and actually in public works for about 10 years, putting a program together. But the timing of this could be good, because in the document, there is a couple of these items under section 6 is related to zero emission vehicle deployment. So putting together a plan with that in mind, the timing might be really good about that. So I just want to talk about that, say that. Okay, Bill, did you want to offer some stuff?
Yes, please. I don't know if you folks have seen the press release, but we have received a grant from the Energized Connecticut Community Partnership Initiative in the amount of $10,000 for residential energy efficiency outreach. And we have scheduled And we'll have on July 30th, and it'll be on the town, on the front lawn of the town hall, a residential sustainable energy outreach event. The centerpiece of that is the Eversource has a trailer that has all kinds of neat components, and I can send you a PowerPoint of the trailer that has all kinds of different things talking about energy efficiency, as well as water and water efficiency type of things. And we're going to have in that, we're going to have some tents with heat pump providers. With the idea is that the main point of this initiative that we have going on July is to really foster energy efficiency. It's all residential, all aimed at residential energy efficiency. And then to follow that, replacement of oil and gas fired heat with heat pumps, which are electric driven, and have a couple of solar companies there with tents, as well as others in this space to attract people, to get them involved in this efficiency outreach program. And this is what I was saying the first meeting, is this is something that the Sustainability Commission can get, right away, get something in the public's eye.
Right, so that could be a community partnership
Yeah.
during that event. That's great. Right, so
I'm just curious, who manages that, like, who is handling that event?
Me?
Yeah, it would be, you would fill the paperwork out through Park and Rec,
Yeah,
get access to the lawn, and this is something that Bill's been organizing himself.
okay. How will the community find out about it?
Well, we're planning on to have some press releases out, some a mailing, and then signs which can be posted around town for that. So we're partnering with PACE, is our partner that had brought this to us, and that's the clean energy organization for the state of Connecticut, the PACE organization, and that's pretty much the entity that is leading our effort, and it's called Heat Smart, Bethel Heat Smart initiative, a program. But we hope to have a lot of participants, and also, like from Peter's standpoint, to have some electric vehicle, maybe display conversations type of a thing. We are partnered in this program with the Bethel Chamber of Commerce, and we want to get the Chamber of Commerce more involved in it also.
The town and the schools, like if he gets once the information gets to my office, then I can share it with the schools, and I can share it, throughout the town, our social media.
Yeah, because I know the chamber, we don't have it on the chamber calendar yet. Because I know we just talked about our calendar of events, and I know it's not publicized on there of like what we're handing out to people of upcoming events.
Bill, this just kind of came about last week, didn't it?
Well, we've actually, it's been 2 months now that we've been working on it. We've had 2 mailings out. We've got entities signed up for it. We had a hurdle to reach to get the grant, the $10,000 grant from Eversource, who was really behind the Energize Connecticut Community Partnership. And we have exceeded our goal to achieve that already, but it's still not enough. We want to really increase the participation of residents and get them to be more energy efficient, and get more technologies like solar and heat pumps implemented within the town.
But Bill, you didn't have this date of July 30th until last week, did you? I thought that there were a couple of days that you were still trying to get something locked down on.
Yeah, what we had to wait for was to get, because it's Eversource trailer, to get when it was available to us that we could use, because it goes all over the state. And we got July 30th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. is the time frame that we would be having the event there on town, on the town lawn.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
Check that
definitely we
box.
could do that.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's something that we can definitely talk about and partner with, so. Okay, so real quick, the things that I love. Under 4, and I think Stephen, you mentioned a couple of these things related to supporting the arts and tourism, culture and all that. We could establish a poet laureate, and I think something like with the library, I think they already
We
exist.
have one.
So that's, I thought that was something great. We can include arts and culture in publicly available municipal marketing. Just, I think that's a simple, not a heavy lift at all. The other is, well, this is a little bit more, is commit some dedicated funding, but I think with new development, there is something in those contracts that requires some percentage of arts and culture in the new development contract, so I think that already exists as well. So let me see if there was something else related to the arts and culture. There was some component of this under 4.4 where establishes an annual recognition program for local artists. And I thought, well, that's a good way to engage the schools because, I'm sure they already do something like that. And to promote one of the students would be really awesome. So these are the kinds of things that I love. The other is to develop an artist mentoring program. That could be part of the school's programming as well. The other thing that I love talking about is section 6, which many of you already talked about as well, related to transportation, parking, mobility. There are, I'm gonna cut my stuff short here because I know we're I want to be efficient with time. But talking about, we talked about the Complete Street program, but that's a long-term type of initiative that we definitely could recommend. But the shorter term, perhaps within the year, is related to the fleet and talking about how we start organizing and putting together a 5-year fleet capital plan that includes these zero emission vehicle deployments. I mean, that's something that I think is really important for everybody. The other was they talked about which Stephen, you also talked, or I don't remember with Stephen or Peter, I probably wrote it down, but I can't remember, talking about the public transit and other mobility strategies. I mean, some of the goals when you look around the country in the Northeast as well, related to sustainability is moving people out of cars. But in order to do that, you actually have to provide other services, you have to provide the infrastructure. Again, some of this is long-term, requires community partnering. But establishing, I don't know if this exists in the town, if there's a bike walk type of commission or committee or advisory group or a group that gets together, but engaging them to see what their ideas are related to bike routes or protected bike routes or bike parking and bike racks and just getting easy access mobility to get from one place to the other. And then of course, since you don't have, Bethel doesn't have its own transit, that would be a more mid to long-term engagement with the HEART group. So that's kind of where my thoughts are for me. But this is all really great. I think at this point, related to this part and the requirements that we have is, Dion, so maybe we kind of try to put these into the little gritty things. I did this, I can send you this. I mean, then you can expand it however you think. Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay.
Because I think submitting this, 2 seconds, submitting this will have to comply with the way they want it, right? Okay, yes.
I was gonna say, do we wanna wait for the rest of the commission?
I'm gonna send a little,
What they want,
yeah, but Dion can start
and then.
pulling it all together.
Yeah.
Yes, but I'm gonna write
We
an
can just
email to the rest.
continue the
We're
conversation.
gonna absolutely continue the conversation. We're not making any decisions yet. No, I'm gonna send out an email because there's a few people that are not here who we already knew about. And yes, because we definitely, Peter Schwartz did send me, I'm sorry, completely forgot about that. Let me get that into the record. I will find it in my little pieces of paper. I'm usually not paper driven, but you know, sometimes. So Peter Schwartz did send his thoughts on what were important to him. So in an email to me, so in the short term, he said that there should be an announcement, an explanation of the mission for the commission. So that's something that I think that was a really good idea. I mean, I talked about it, we kind of talked about it, it's in the resolution. So we need to figure out whether that's something that engaging the first selectman, that we announce to the town that we have this commission. I think that's a really good idea. And that would be another way to engage the community, right? He has spoken with several residents who informed him they were not aware of the commission or its purpose. Okay. Short term, I refer to section 8.1, subsections A, B, C. We could have an introductory event, which we all talked about, which is the part of leveraging already existing events with refreshments, highlighting the areas that we decided as priorities by the commissioners. Midterm, he said he was director of the Bethel Land Trust for almost 7 years and believes the town must continue its recent efforts to preserve the natural habitat. And those are highlighted in sections 3.4, B, C, and D, open space plans, which many of you already talked about. In the long term, he believes the town is ready for a greater emphasis on cultural activity. So again, we're kind of all on the same page in a way. Mm-hmm. So this can be pursued with partnership with the Bethel Library as one resource. And that's section 4.2.10, supporting arts and creative culture. He thinks the high school, municipal center auditoriums can also be employed as venues. Let me get that straight. So that's from Peter Schwartz. So at this point, we're going to continue this conversation. Obviously, this is the first meeting after just 2 weeks after our initial meeting, and we'll start putting our ideas into these the chart and the boxes, so we can at least see where we have common ground in those areas, short, midterm, and long term. And then at the same time, talk about how we can start leveraging and getting something out in these events, Bill's event. And I think right after I stop talking, Dion's going to talk about something else. Right?
Well, we can talk about the food truck Friday if y'all want to set, you know, that, and that can be something just as simple. Are you done?
I'm done.
Okay. That can be something just as simple as setting a table up, you know, and just, you know, sharing information there, or even, I don't know, somebody bringing, you know, cornhole and having that there at a table, and, you know, just whatever you want. Or you can focus on this July 30th event, you know, and it sounds like this could be something really cool to get your minds wrapped around and build an event around. So I think that that's probably a decision that needs to, that you know, needs to be made. Really, with Food Truck Friday, if you decide that you want to do something, I mean, you can wait until August, you know, you got, if you want to wait until the next meeting to figure out what you want to do. And then, but if you're going to move forward with this July 30th event, then, you know, you're gonna need to probably move a little quicker for that.
Right, but we'll need something that will identify the commission, right? So
Does it go on the town site? This was.
Yes, we
Okay.
will advertise this on the town site. Now, a couple things that you might want, and I can go ahead and start working on within my office, is getting something set up for the town website, not actually building information into it quite yet, but making sure that we have the place there for it when you want to start adding, creating a sustainable Bethel Facebook page that we can start sharing information. Those are a couple of things that I can go ahead and have completed by the time we next, you know, by the time.
I think we all agree that the communication
And then
part
try
of this
to-
is like massive for the town.
right, but we need to agree on that
Right,
message.
what the message is.
Yes,
Where
and-
we're putting it.
If we're gonna have something at the what is that called, on July 30th, but if we're gonna have something on July 30th, we need to have some type of logo, whatever, I'm not sure what that logo would be. So that's something that we need to think about.
Can't we
and-
just use, instead of recreating stuff, can't we just use the sustainable CT logo?
I don't know, that's a good question.
Well, if you want to add the sustainable CT logo, you know, and we have our town seal that we put the name of all of our different towns or our boards and commissions, you know, next to. That's the look that we have for the other boards and commissions. Now, if you want to create a logo at some point and you want to expand on it, that's fine too.
Let's be efficient, because that's a really good point. Maybe we can just say sustainable Connecticut, sustainable Bethel, and you already have a Bethel logo. But again, we want to identify that this exists, you know, right?
Well, if it's, all right, I'd like to just get onto that sustainable site and see what the other towns have done.
Yeah.
Okay,
I don't want to recreate the wheel. I think everyone has great ideas and great intentions,
Mhm.
and we're not gonna be able to get out of our own way if we don't
I agree.
utilize what all the other towns and
Exactly.
municipalities have done, right? So I think we should take advantage of that. Just a really quick question though about Food Truck Friday, because I know I'm just trying to be conscious of some other small businesses or commissions in the town. Would anyone be offended because we have a table there and no one else
Everybody
does?
has the same opportunity.
Okay, all right,
don't-
just want you to
yeah.
check.
I don't pick favorites, you know, it's if anybody, like, this Friday, Bethel Winter Guard is going to be there.
Okay.
Because they asked, and Scotty Fun's gonna be there because they, you know, it's just like, so, yeah, you wanna, use the lawn, you know, use it.
No, it's good to know, because if
Yeah.
someone says something, then, right, in a conversation,
Oh, yeah,
I could easily say, well, you know what, you guys could go there, you just have to call and ask.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a plus.
So
Okay.
Diana, what you're saying about sustainable Connecticut, there's a lot of information in there that is, that we can definitely take advantage of. So for this July 30th meeting, perhaps, you know, when you're scrolling that, navigating through it or trolling it, you can find something that we can all use to message to the public when we're there. I think by then, because we're at the beginning of June and this is at the end of July, we should have a better idea where we're headed.
Well, I think it's a great opportunity for a soft launch of it.
Okay.
Of just, right, because I know that Bill, I feel like too, I don't wanna take away any of the thunder for Bill, because this has been his baby for so many years. And the project and so much time and effort that he's put into it. I don't know if we really have to, I don't know, maybe everyone else has a different opinion, but I don't necessarily think that it has to be a sustainable Bethel CT event.
I think it could be. I mean, this is for the town of Bethel and you know, it has to do with sustainability and it'd be good to wrap it around.
Right, but if people are knowing this event, right, they're associating already. If they're at all associating with the flyers and what's been produced as the Heat Smart, then in terms of marketing it and promoting it, I think maybe it might be good to be consistent, and that's why we do the soft launch of like, this is going to be a bigger part of sustainable CT.
Yeah.
Right, 'cause you guys aren't doing the mailings, you have that other company that's doing the mailings, right?
Yeah, mailings are coming through. Pace has been handling that. We got one more mailing planned at this point in time.
And they're still referring to it as Heat Smart Bethel.
Yes,
Yeah, so I think the branding for it is kind of done.
Yeah, for that, yes.
Yeah,
But
so that's
for
why I'm
us-
saying for sustainable, it could be a soft launch for us.
Right, yeah, we're not, I agree,
We're in like a support.
we're not doing,
role,
we're just kind of there. We're taking-
volunteering.
The whole idea is to take advantage of the fact that this is already existing and we'll have a table there. And we just want to get people aware, make people aware that this exists, because to be able to engage them, create interest, and then ultimately have them volunteer. So, yes, for that event, it's already branded, but we want to be there. And I like your idea about a soft launch. We're gonna be there, we're gonna start getting the message out, but we need the message, we need to agree on the message and what we're doing, you know, so that's all I'm saying. So that could be homework for July.
Maybe Bill has like a suggestion as he keeps planning for like a role that we could play in it,
Yeah,
you know, too.
yeah, go ahead, Bill. I hear, it looks like you want to say
Play
something.
whatever role you want, you'd like.
There you go.
Yeah, we just wanna, we wanna push things forward with sustainability, regardless of if it's energy or land or whatever. So this is a part of, just a niche or a part of the Sustainability Commission.
Correct.
So Bill, so if we have the lawn and you have the Heat Smart, you have the Eversource trailer there with the different examples that you had given, and then if Peter is going to participate and there's something that he has there, you have you have some people from the Sustainable Bethel that wants to be there to answer questions or to pass out water or to, whatever. It's just having representation there on the lawn.
Yep.
Of what's being done and what we're hoping to do.
Yeah, it's we're glad to give you a speaking spot. Whatever you decide you would like to do, you can do. However you want to handle it, however you want to approach it, it's okay with us.
You might want to go through this list, there might be a couple easy things on here to actually, either start or, to start before July 30th, if you, this pollinated pathways that y'all are talking about. I mean, this might be something that you could actually kind of get your head wrapped around and start before July 30th. So you have something to actually point out, a community garden. There's places
Telling
around
people
here
what
that
kind of-
we could make a community garden happen.
Right.
Talk to me, I've already I got a place for you. We might be able to start something like that. So as we're out on the lawn and you're talking about these things, you can just, maybe name off a couple quick, easy ones.
I got it.
The
That's-
poet laureate, we already have that. So let's talk about how we could use it, or, just maybe do a little bit of research with some different things so that as you're out there on the front lawn on the 30th, that this is what we're doing, and these are some of our goals and that
I
kind of
think
thing.
Phil's energy study would be a huge win for that, what you're talking about, because that's already been done.
Exactly,
And
yeah.
We look at that study and we can pull out some of the stats from it and use those to help promote and
Mhm.
say, look, this has already happened, like the commission might be new, but your town's been working on this for years already.
Yeah. And we actually, Bill, we have those updates for the TV, don't we? I don't know if we could, if it's outside, I don't know if you'd be able to see the TV, but we could maybe, even have like laptops available and be able to show some graphs or different things with it for people to see.
Yeah,
So,
because get our IT, because we do have the TV access. You're talking about the landfill solar? Yeah.
so, yeah. We might need to have a special meeting or something to try to, I don't know if we'll be able to get all of this in before our next meeting, if we would be ready, but yeah, July 30th, we should be able to get some stuff.
Well, I think we just say, yes, we're gonna be there. And, it may not be done like the pollinated pathways, but there should definitely be a conversation about that. We already have a poet laureate and the energy study. Those are great ideas, but let's see, between now and maybe next week after the email, and then we have an executive committee meeting, at the end of June, that we could, narrow this down. So at least we're messaging the same message.
Yeah.
And we're not confusing everybody,
Yeah.
And we have a plan.
Maybe we use that event to take a poll of the public.
What?
Use
Yeah.
that event to take a poll.
So
So if we take
survey,
everyone's
that's
ideas
another
from the
good
committee
idea.
and we say, okay, well, we have, a dozen or 2 dozen ideas and we have a piece of paper and it says, well, which would be important to you? And they check it off.
Yeah.
Maybe that would help us give us a better sense of direction to
Yeah.
what's important to the people that are coming and.
Yeah, I mean, I think that'd be another, good input. Yep.
Scale ours down, I mean, because we already have, just amongst us and, gentlemen on the Zoom, we have duplication in probably 5 of the areas.
Right, but that's a good thing because we're on the same page on those.
Yeah.
That's really good.
So
Yeah.
maybe it'll be interesting to see if
But that's
the
another,
public is also on that same thought
Absolutely.
process.
that's a really good idea to engage the public because now you're stopping them, you're saying, hey, we want to know what you think, right? Maybe we can do it digitally. A piece of paper.
Maybe pull somebody in from the Historical Society, like Stephen was talking about with the different,
Oh, call
The
Pat, she'll be
different-
there all day.
okay, yeah, with the different tourists, yeah. The tour, like on the tourism side of it, and be able to have like a list of things to do around town, but yeah.
So Katie, you're quiet. What do you think?
No, I think a survey sounds great.
Okay.
I think even like getting the garden club involved, like they could even have like a little booth with like just plants that are like, plant these and it's for pollinating, like it's visual, it's easy, it's kind of fun.
Did they have their plant sale yet?
It's this week. The signs are out.
Oh, it's this week.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think it's
I
this week.
did see the sign.
Yeah. And the artisan fair is like in 2 weeks too, so I don't know if that
The-
local artists.
Market, that's, yeah, that's
11th, next weekend, I think?
inside the municipal center. I think they're holding it in the gym.
Are they? I didn't know if it was gonna be on the lawn. It didn't. I
No,
don't
I
remember
don't-
it
I think
saying.
it's gonna be inside.
But that could maybe tick a box, a group of people that are local artists.
I think we need to be specific and narrow down to these are the things, yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff that's going on, but this is what we're working on right now. But yeah, let's get in these, like, this nice chart, that, so we can see it. And we'll continue the conversation, hopefully, the next month and narrow this down, but I think our goal, I think is a great goal to partner with the Heat Smart event.
Peter, Stephen, you guys around for the 30th of July?
What day?
It's a Saturday.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think as of now, I am, yeah.
Yeah, nothing's on my calendar, so yeah.
Yeah, Peter, if you have something for the EVs, something, little equipment for
I'll bring my electric bike, cargo bike.
Now, so Peter, do you belong to the electric vehicle the electric vehicle club?
Club.
One in Westport, do you know them?
I manufacture electric vehicles.
Okay,
So I work for the OEMs,
okay.
and I don't own an electric vehicle, therefore I don't join the clubs.
Okay, I think we have.
I almost bought one, but I ride a cargo bike. You look for me in the next few days coming down Greenwood like a maniac.
Yeah, but the electric vehicle charging stations are important, but there needs to be a plan to.
Well,
do
so,
that.
okay, so
Okay.
you could literally go to any company when Bill and Steve started talking about this 2 years ago. There were a handful. There was ChargePoint, there was EVgo, Charge America. Now it's literally become a commodity. So they're so desperate. All of these companies are so desperate to put their pedestals somewhere that now they're typically giving you the pedestal for a piece of the action. So it literally can be done for nothing, maybe $500 a charger.
Yeah, I still think that there needs to be, there's a lot of money that's coming down for that, and there's
Right.
a requirement, so it needs to be thought through.
Right. So what I offered a couple of years ago, previous commission was fun. We've been doing it for years. Just couldn't muster up I don't know, the will to do it, but I can make some phone calls. I could have a charge point. They come into town. They could talk to us. They can do a presentation. They could tell us what's out there. And
Well, I'm gonna
how.
suggest to you, Peter, that you and I talk offline.
Sure.
Yeah, because I have partners who are EV chargers.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Right. The
let's
same
talk
people
offline.
that show
I
up at
I
the
like-
parking lot.
We definitely should bring them in, yeah, you can bring in different ones because there's so many of them, you know? But
I
yeah, let's
think
talk.
if we
I love
can-
talking about that stuff.
Right. And if we could come up with, you know, first of all, most companies will show up nowadays on a Zoom call like this. But if we think that, you know, maybe twice a year, we do a daytime meeting and we can have vendors come in and pitch us on, you know, all the great things we talk about.
I think, yes, yeah, so the last meeting, yeah, I don't know if you remember, we did talk about eventually having some guest speakers come in, but yeah, and that's definitely one of them, so.
Right. Yeah.
But-
Right.
And you and I should talk offline about them and parking.
Sure. You should come see my bike.
Okay, so anything else before I
No,
motion
it's
to
dinner
adjourn? Okay, motion to adjourn,
time. Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Catherine, anytime, just call me or
Okay.
text me.
Thank you, everybody.
All right. Cheers, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.